My name is Sarah Sterling. I'm the Executive Director of Entrepreneurship at SOCAP. I run our fellowship program. And this session, I just want to thank all of you for coming, taking a risk, being vulnerable here together. This is the first time we've ever done a session like this at SOCAP to connect funders and founders together. That's not a pitch style. And again, I'll be going through the activity, but I just want to take a moment to recognize the fellows that this session was created for specifically. So if you are a SOCAP Global Fellow, will you please stand? Yay, we can clap. Yeah, you can clap. Thank you. If you are a Summit Impact Entrepreneur, can you please stand? And if you are a Marguerite Casey Foundation Fund Manager, will you please stand? Amazing. So why are we here? So I have been working with SOCAP since 2015, running our entrepreneur program, which is now officially a fellowship. And year over year, I would get feedback from people, both fund managers, entrepreneurs, that there's something missing, that they're not getting the connections they want to make, and there's this sort of lack of humanity and heart-centered approach when it comes to funders and founders connecting as just people and leveling those power dynamics. And so this year we did a lot of thoughtful preparation for this specific session. And so it's a very interactive session, but basically it is really trying to address all of you in this space as SOCAP, as a community, and connecting you around shared story. So storytelling, for those of you who don't know, and this has been researched by Harvard and lots of others, storytelling actually literally wires our brain for connection. Human beings are wired to connect through storytelling. And this has been part of our mental mapping since we started standing. So in funder-founder connections, I don't know how many of you have experienced this, but as soon as you sit down, there is this sort of transactional quality to the conversation, whether you're a funder trying to get funding or whether you're an entrepreneur trying to get funding, et cetera. But how many of you have experienced like that transactional networking feeling when you sit down with someone you're looking for funding for, right? But storytelling really opens up those pathways to connection. And it really creates this sense of empathy and wanting to help the person you're hearing the story from, which is why we're doing this session today. So first and foremost, this is, we want this to be a confidential space. And so with storytelling, and I'll introduce activity in a moment, you can share your own stories, but please don't share other people's stories without their permission, and definitely not outside of this space. We're going to start in small groups and merge groups together. So if you want to talk about someone else's story and how it made you feel, please get their permission first and foremost, and speak for yourself, not another person. Have an open heart, open mind, both for other stories as well as your own story. You never know what someone's story is going to, it's going to make you feel as a person. And then active listening, right? We all have our to-do lists, but this activity really requires you to be fully present and listening when someone else is speaking. And then allow yourself to be surprised, right? You never know. We're going to be sharing a lot in these groups, and we're going to let it flow and see how it turns out. So story circles. What we're going to do in a moment is you're going to get up and you're going to actually move your chairs, and you're going to create circles of 4 people. So in your circles of 4 people, there are 2 roles. There's the storyteller, so only one person speaks at a time. Everyone else needs to be actively listening, and you get 3 to 5, we'll be loose with it because we have time, 5 minutes to tell your story. After you, if you're the storyteller, tell your story, the other 3 members of the group can give appreciations. What does an appreciation mean? It means Michael, when you talked about, your childhood best friend moving away, it really made my heart so sad for you. It really made me feel something. Appreciations are not an invitation for you to tell your own story in response, right? Like, Michael, when you tell that story, it made me think of the time when my best friend moved away and blah, 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 right? So please just share appreciations of how the story sat with you. You don't have to. It's optional. And then the other big piece is no one has to share a story. If you just want to sit and you don't feel comfortable or you don't feel like sharing a story, you do not have to share a story. We just ask that you actively listen to the others. And then if you change your mind, you're allowed to change your mind. If everyone in the story has gone and you skipped, you're like, actually now I would like to share my story, you can. After the stories, okay, we did the appreciations. Okay, perfect. And then with appreciations, as a storyteller, we don't respond. You just receive the appreciations, because otherwise it's a lot of back and forth and we'll never get to the end of the session. So, I would like all of you to get up and form your group of 4 people. Please make sure that the people in your group are people you haven't met before. We're going to create small circles with the chairs, and you're going to share a moment when you experience the power of relationship and connection in your work. So this is from the heart. This is not a pitch. This is not rehearsed. This is literally sharing a moment. You all should have received note cards and a pen. So what we're going to do once you form your circles is you're going to get 2 minutes to think about this prompt and write down what this prompt inspires in you. And then I'll give you the hey, it's time to start the session. Any questions before we begin? Questions are fine. I know this is new. Okay, so for those of you who are in chairs, please stand up, pick up your chairs, form circles of 4. For those of you in the stadium seating, we have extra chairs down here, or you can form little groups of 4 there. So once you form your groups, don't start talking yet. So there should be no talking. No talking yet, don't start your stories yet. You all should have a note card and a pen. If you don't or need one, please let me know, and I will come around in a second. We're going to do 2 minutes of quiet reflection, thinking about this prompt. What does this prompt inspire you for your story that you're about to share with the others in your circle? So I'm going to start the timer for 2 minutes, and you can write or you can just think about it. But I just wanted to give you guys time so you don't have to launch right into the stories. Share a moment when you experience the power of relationship and connection in your work. And I'll be coming around with paper and pens too. Okay, let's finish up. And let's begin to share, and feel free to take a few minutes to just talk in your group about who's in the group and introduce yourselves, and then one person can kick off with the storytelling. So we'll have a few minutes just at the beginning, and then we'll kick off the storytelling. And I'll be coming around to check timing and stuff, but let's start it. So I just wanted to thank you all for sharing your stories, active listening. We're going to move into the second portion of the session today. So I want you to find a group that's just right next to you. You don't need to move around a lot, so as is organic. We're just going to merge 2 groups into one larger group. And the prompts are, sharing what came up for you all in your story circles. Again, sharing from your perspective about the experience. What did you notice? What was surprising to you? Were there any common themes that emerged from your story circles? And then if you feel, driven to, what concrete action will you commit to after leaving this session today? So I invite you to find one other group and just create a larger group from your 2 smaller groups into one. So I want to thank all of you for participating in this session. This is something new. We haven't done this before, and so I'll switch to the next slide in a moment for your feedback of how we can improve and have more sessions like this at SOCAP that are focused 100% on just pure connection between people. And I also want to thank Michael Cass, who wasn't able to be here today, of Story and Spirit. A lot of the methodology from this session and building this session out came with his help, so I just want to thank him. And if you want to have any workshops like this with your own organizations, that's what he does professionally. So please see me, or you can email him at michael@michaelcass.co. And you can feel free to keep talking. If you need to go somewhere else, that's fine, but I wanted to give you a few minutes back. I know it's been a long day, and I just really appreciate each and every one of you. So thank you so much for your participation and attention today.